in the middle of the Yellow Sea. Danger looms overhead. Two colonies of seabirds, the potential victims of an aerial predator. This is just one of the many perils they face on Fantouzi Island, a breeding haven for Chinese egrets and black-tailed gulls, as they fight against the rigours of their temporary abode. Here, growing up is a constant battle, where only the fittest will survive. Soar with the seabirds and find out how they adapt to the demands of nature, in the nest and beyond. January in Liaoning province, northeastern China. Temperatures here have historically dipped to -21 degrees Celsius, creating a vast body of frozen water. But one group of oriental white stork travels here just to pass the winter. During this season, food is scarce, so they migrate here to feed. These storks have a distinctive black bill and red legs that differentiate them from other stork species. With less than 2,500 mature individuals left in the wild, the oriental white stork is endangered. This particular group has ventured down from Russia to the southern tip of Liaoning province, northeastern China. It's further north than these storks would normally winter, but they are here for a very specific reason. This whistling sound signals to the storks that lunch is served. Every morning, the people of the nearby Zhongjia village serve them a feast of shrimp and small fish on the frozen ground. This strange relationship formed in the winter of 2010, when a sudden temperature drop froze the water early, preventing the storks from feeding. 5 of these endangered birds died from starvation. That year, the villagers began to feed the surviving oriental white storks. Since then, the number of storks that come here every year has multiplied tenfold, with over 100 birds visiting yearly. But this is only one way that human intervention has changed the habits of bird species. Over 40 kilometers away, outside Dalian city in Liaoning province, thousands of gulls forage for food from this huge pile of garbage. It's a treasure trove for these birds. Gulls are opportunistic feeders, consuming a wide range of food, from seeds and fruit to even other birds. Unsurprisingly, this garbage heap is an unhealthy buffet for these intrepid scavengers. As April arrives, it's warm enough for the oriental white storks to return to Russia. It's also time for these gulls to head to their breeding grounds. The gulls favour several islands off Liaoning's eastern coast for sites of breeding colonies. A particular favourite, an uninhabited island called Fantouzi. Occupying less than 1/10 of a kilometre square, the island's warm summer climate, suitable vegetation for nesting, an abundance of food sources, and most of all, no human disturbances, make the island a perfect site for breeding. The The black-tailed gulls are the first to arrive. Aptly named for its black tail, this gull species is also distinguished by its yellow feet and a red and black spot at the end of its bill. It is native to the coastlines of East Asia. As early spring arrives on Fantouzi, Chinese violet cress blooms. These purple flowers signal the start of the mating season, which lasts from April to July every year. Birds typically only mate in one position. The male stands on top of the female and flaps his wings to keep his balance. From this position, he can deposit his sperm in her, where it travels up and fertilizes an egg. After being impregnated, the bird is building a nest out of dry grass. She will add to it throughout the season. Black-tailed gulls nest in colonies, and the approximately 12,000 individuals who have made their yearly pilgrimage here get busy building their nests. Black-tailed gulls lay their eggs between 7 to 10 days after successful copulation. And each time, only 2 to 3 eggs. They have this island to themselves, but not for long. In May, Chinese egrets arrive. These white birds are easily identified by distinctive shaggy plumes on their heads and blue skin around their eyes. There are less than 4,000 mature individuals left in the wild, making these egrets a vulnerable species. And they only breed on small offshore islands like Fantouzi. The black-tailed gulls are unfazed by these new arrivals. After all, this happens every year, and they share the space harmoniously. There are 10 different species that breed and raise their young on Fantouzi, with the Chinese egrets and the black-tailed gulls the two largest bird populations. Even before they start mating, the first thing on the egret's agenda is to find a place to nest. The black-tailed gulls build their nests on exposed slopes and flat ground, but the Chinese egrets prefer their privacy, building their nests hidden in bushes or trees. Multiple Chinese egret pairs sometimes nest in the same tree. These neighbors will see a lot of each other this year. Chinese egret egg clutches typically range from 2 to 5 eggs, easily identified by their blue color. Since arriving a few days ago, this female has only laid 1 egg. They need to produce more eggs, but she rejects his advances. Twice. He has to get her in the mood. This male knows exactly what to do. He brings her branches for the nest to make it more comfortable. Small ones for the middle and large ones to reinforce the outside. His tactics work. She finally lets him mate. Black-tailed gulls are monogamous breeders who usually stay with the same partner. But Chinese egrets can mate with many partners during breeding season, even while the female is nesting. This sexual promiscuity, however, does have a positive benefit. Breeding with many different birds increases genetic diversity and promotes the survival of this vulnerable species. This male egret is on the prowl. He has yet to attract a female to mate with him today. But female egrets, often alone and without their partners during nesting, are easy targets to satisfy his urges. But not this time. Her partner is back, and the couple has chased the intruder off. He'll have to find a mate somewhere else. This mating pair is feeling frisky again. They have already mated several times today. Birds will often copulate many times during their mating period. And it can take several attempts before copulation is successful. Black-tailed gulls have been known to mate 10 times in one day. If mating was the fun part, now comes the hard work. The incubation period will take between 21 to 27 days for these birds. The ideal temperature for hatching black-tailed gulls is around 34 degrees Celsius. But the temperature here is rarely above 20. These bird parents need to ensure that the eggs stay warm so it can develop well and hatch. Rain or shine, these gulls never leave their nest unattended. This female has weathered the rainstorm, not moving an inch. Her male partner has returned to take over her shift. The male and female gull are a team, systematically taking turns to tend to the eggs together. When one partner is incubating the eggs, the other sets out to find food. While the garbage heap may seem like a tempting buffet, gulls avoid feeding at landfills during breeding season. Instead, they hunt for more nutritious prey, like small fish and fry that they skim off the ocean's surface, as well as small crabs and shellfish found on beaches along the shorelines. These fishing boats mark the perfect feeding ground. Guanglu Island, just 2 kilometers away from Fantouzi Island. Here, these birds can get a good, healthy meal. At low tide, the water pulls back to reveal small fish, shrimp, and other soft-shelled critters. And both the black-tailed gulls and Chinese egrets can eat their fill. But they are not the only ones who know of this delicious feast. There are ducks that also come to these beaches to feed. And they come by the hundreds. These scallop farmers are processing their catch on the shore, piling up scallops to be sold. Anything left behind is fair game. These ducks, however, aren't wild. They've been led here by farmers who live on Guanglu Island. They want their ducks in good health for the harvest. These duck eggs are a valuable commodity. The eggs laid by the ducks of this island are considered a delicacy, aptly named island eggs. Back on Fantouzi Island, the parents-to-be are hard at work, keeping their eggs warm. This Chinese egret is gently turning her eggs around to ensure that they are evenly incubated. They do this once every 1 to 2 hours when the weather is cool, and once every 10 minutes when it's hot. But there are some eggs that are odd ones out. This nest contains 2 different types of eggs. A larger spotted one from a black-tailed gull, and a smaller blue egg from a Chinese egret. This behavior is called egg dumping. This happens when females are unable to create a suitable nest or have lost a nest site. Parent birds lay their eggs in the nest of another species to increase its survivability, hoping their child will be reared to adulthood by the other bird parents. But with the different looks and size, will the odd baby birds be able to survive? An uninhabited island off the northeastern coast of China, Fantouzi is a haven for thousands of visitors every year. Guests of the avian variety. They make the pilgrimage here to breed and raise their young. After caring for their eggs day and night for over 3 weeks, the fruit of their labour is ripening. The eggs begin to crack, and out come the baby chicks, seeing the world for the first time. Hatching takes about 1 to 2 hours from the time the shell begins to crack. When black-tailed gulls hatch, their soft baby fluff is coated in amniotic fluid, which protects them while they're growing inside the egg. As the day goes by, the fluid dries off their feathers, revealing their fluffy coats. It will be over a month before it becomes independent. For now, it can just hide safely under the wings of its mother. At this age, these hatchlings are extremely vulnerable. Black-tailed gull chicks are semi-precocious, meaning that they can leave the nest shortly after birth and easily get into trouble. This mother has returned to her nest only to find it empty and mounts an urgent search, calling out for her chick. Fortunately, she finds her offspring and quickly brings her back to the nest. But some baby gulls wander much further from home. This baby gull has got lost in a dangerous part of the island. Breeding gulls can be extremely territorial and aggressive, even attacking chicks that aren't theirs. Without the protection of its parents, attacks from these angry gulls could kill it not long after its life began. Thankfully, it finds its mother, who quickly takes it under her wing. The mother is able to find her child because both the black-tailed gulls and the Chinese egret are able to recognize their chicks through their calls. But not all these chicks can be so lucky. This adult black-tailed gull has returned to her nest with food, only to find her chick is still. It has died of unknown causes while she was away. About 30% of black-tailed gull chicks that are hatched here every year perish before they reach adulthood. Starvation is one cause of death for these young birds. Immediately after birth, young gulls need to eat 2 to 4 meals every day to get enough nutrition to grow big and strong. At this young age, parental care is the deciding factor in reducing infant mortality. Black-tailed gull parents are protective of their chicks. But some chicks have been adopted out, even before they were born. The speckled brown egg stands out against the smaller pale blue Chinese egret ones. A black-tailed gull is hatching in this Chinese egret nest. This mother doesn't seem to have noticed and continues to incubate all the eggs. But when it hatches, will she foster it as one of her own, or will she leave it to fend for itself? It's June on Fantouzi Island in Liaoning Province, northeastern China. In the middle of breeding season, the chicks have begun to hatch. This Chinese egret couple are welcoming their first child, but it's a black-tailed gull. The chick's real parents have left this egg here, hoping the egret will raise their child. Researchers have nicknamed this baby Mussel. But Mussel hasn't been fed yet. He looks expectantly towards his egret surrogate mother, but she's too busy building her nest. In a different nest, another black-tailed gull is hatching. To yet another Chinese egret. Birdwatchers have named this black-tailed gull chick Chubby. It's not a good start. Chubby can't even convince his adopted mother to give him food. Both Mussel and Chubby have an uphill battle to face. Neither of them gets the food they need. They may not be able to survive. Thankfully, their nestmates begin to hatch. Mussel and Chubby may have more luck getting food when the egret parents feed their chicks. Unlike black-tailed gull chicks, Chinese egrets are born nearly bald, without a soft downy coat to protect them. These babies will grow their feathers quickly, but for now, they require much more parental care to keep them warm and healthy. Otherwise, things can turn fatal, like these unlucky baby egrets. The owners of this nest have not returned for 3 days, spelling disaster for these chicks. Over in Chubby's nest, 2 Chinese egret chicks have hatched. Chubby doesn't quite blend in with his adopted siblings. But at this stage, he hasn't been fed in days, and he's desperate. His adopted siblings look like a tasty snack. his foster mother returns. She is understandably displeased with his behaviour. Mussel, on the other hand, is doing a little better. His foster parent has returned with some food. Mussel quickly rushes forward to snatch the meal of the younger, less mobile Chinese egret chick. The chicks of black-tailed gull and Chinese egret are raised similarly on a diet of fresh seafood, caught from the shallows surrounding Fantouzi Island. For now, his foster parent is ignoring that he isn't a Chinese egret, letting him eat his fill. But Chubby is not so lucky. It would seem that his foster mother is no longer happy with him staying in her nest and attacks him. He still hasn't eaten since he was born. After getting pecked, he's too afraid to request food from his surrogate mother. If he continues to starve, this could spell his death. To feed their young, some seabirds consume the fish they catch and digest it fully. When they return to their nests, they regurgitate this digested food, making it much easier for the young ones to swallow. This black-tailed gull has brought back a whole fish for his chick, but she's unsure of how to eat this undigested meal. Her father has no choice but to swallow it again, digesting it further before going for another feed, showing the bird's dedication in fending for his chicks. They will continue this routine every day until these chicks are ready to leave the nest. But malnutrition is not the only risk these young ones face. A hidden predator has the breeding colony in a frenzy. It's hunting time, and the crosshairs are locked on our baby birds. Fantouzi Island in the Yellow Sea, off the northeastern coast of China. A seabird's breeding paradise, untouched by human hands. After 2 months of breeding and incubating their eggs, many birds are finally proud parents to newborn chicks. But an intruder threatens to destroy the peace. Peregrine falcons are birds of prey. Known for their incredible speed, they can reach over 320 kilometers per hour when swooping for prey, making them the fastest animal in the world. And these chicks are easy pickings for falcons. Nesting on the ground makes gull chicks straightforward targets. In the midst of danger, the chick's first reaction is to vomit. It's a gull's response to fear. To protect their chicks, they are focused on getting rid of the invader. They may not be the fastest birds, but they have strength in numbers. Black-tailed gulls are known to mob potential predators, flying at them in an effort to chase them off, exhausting them until they drown. Overwhelmed by the sheer number of gulls, this peregrine falcon has taken shelter in a rock crevice. He goes hungry today. But in the chaos of the mob, a fledgling black-tailed gull has fallen into the ocean. He hasn't learned to fly yet and can only float with the current. But the adults have come to the rescue. In a show of solidarity, they float with him on the surface, accompanying him until he's safely back to shore. There will be no falcon-related casualties on the island today. Chinese egret egg clutches typically consist of 2 to 5 eggs. But this prolific mother has laid 8. And her first 2 children have hatched. Many birds lay more eggs than they can reliably raise, meaning not all these chicks will survive. But eggs are relatively easy to produce, so parents stack the odds in their favour, laying more eggs in a strategy called parental optimism. If one chick dies, another can survive in its place. In this Chinese egret nest, the second-born chick has died. But this mother has 7 more chicks that could survive. In a seemingly cruel gesture, she attempts to toss her dead chick out of the nest. Back at Chubby's nest, he isn't doing so well. He still hasn't been fed, and he's very weak. His foster parents' abuse hasn't helped him either. After surviving for just 3 days, Chubby has died. His foster parent immediately tries to remove his body from her nest. No hard feelings, just cleaning house. Will Mussel face a similar fate? It's breeding season on Fantouzi Island off the northeastern coast of China. The chicks have hatched. But what may sound like a joyous time for these birds is actually a bitter fight for survival. Chubby has died. But Mussel, the other abandoned black-tailed gull, is doing fairly well. He's survived to his 10th day. His adoptive mother is excellent at catching fish and has brought back more than enough food for all her children, including Mussel. Chinese egret chicks grasp their parents' beaks to eat the regurgitated food. Mussel may not have that instinct, but he's hungry. So he goes into survival mode, snatching food out of his adoptive mother. She seems to have accepted him fully into her family. After some time looking for food, his adoptive father returns to the nest to care for the chicks. Through Mussel's calls, he realizes he's not his own child. It's common for birds to show aggression to chicks that aren't their own. Being pecked at can cause a lot of stress for the chick and can even lead to its death. Mussel tries his best to hide under his adoptive father. He will have to go hungry for now. This Chinese egret is welcoming her 8th hatchling of this season, and researchers have named her Little 8. This mother's already lost one child, and it's not going to be easy to keep all 7 hungry chicks fed. Her firstborn chick is the largest and strongest of this brood, snatching the best food for himself. Little 8 struggles to get a bite to eat. If she doesn't get food within 2 days, she will die. But a greater danger lurks ahead. Fog has descended upon Fantouzi, and with it, an early chill. Temperatures here can quickly drop below 16 degrees Celsius. While adult black-tailed gulls have a full coat of waterproof feathers to keep them warm, many young chicks only have a short downy coat. These young ones can only huddle up together and try and keep warm. The Chinese egret chicks also do the same to survive the cold. But there's no room in that huddle for the youngest one. Little 8 is on her last breaths. As the fog clears, her mother has returned, only to be greeted by Little 8's limp body. She quickly cleans her nest. This seemingly heartless behaviour serves an evolutionary purpose. Egrets can only properly raise up to 4 chicks at a time. By focusing on raising only the strongest chicks, she makes sure they get the best nutrition she can provide. The runts, unfortunately, will likely starve to death. The biggest Chinese egret chicks have begun to grow their flight feathers, and soon it will be time for them to leave the nest and take their first flight. But they must be careful. Any misstep and they could end up dead. At Fantouzi, an island off the northeastern coast of China, July has finally arrived. After almost a month of growing up in their nests, it will soon be time for this season's chicks to learn to fly. Fully grown Chinese egrets have wingspans of up to 114 centimetres. And these young ones are growing fast. In about 20 days, they will be big enough to take their first flight. But there is one chick that simply hasn't grown as much as the others. It's Muscle's first month of life, but there's nothing to celebrate. His foster siblings, who were half his size before, are now bigger and stronger than he is. He simply hasn't been getting enough to eat. At about a month old, well-fed black-tailed gull chicks start to trade their baby fluff for a coat of dark brown feathers, marking their transition from chick into fledgling. They will wear this coat for the next 4 years before they reach their full adult plumage. But the competition for survival is heating up. In this densely populated colony, food and space are scarce. This chick has wandered to a neighbouring nest in search of food, but was caught by the adults. To teach them a lesson, the chick had the feathers of its head plucked. A price to pay for growing up. A new predator has surfaced. European herring gulls may come from the same family as black-tailed gulls, but they are nearly twice their weight. They are omnivorous like their black-tailed cousins and are notorious for vicious attacks on pets and even people. Herring gulls have even been known to pluck chicks from their nests, dropping them from a height to kill them. This vicious herring gull attack proves fatal for this unlucky chick. Over at Mussel's nest, it is empty. The family has decided to leave the island early, moving to another place, perhaps somewhere Mussel can thrive. In the Chinese egret nest, 8 siblings have become just 3. After the loss of the second-born and little 8, the 3 youngest siblings also passed away of unknown causes, leaving only the oldest and strongest members. This trio is almost fully grown. Now more than 20 days old, they practice every day for their first flight by beating their wings. The black-tailed gulls are also preparing to leave Fantouzi Island. Flying is a critical first step to independence. If they can fly, they can hunt and feed themselves. It's the first day of autumn, and away they go. Breeding season has finally drawn to a close on Fantouzi. The adult black-tailed gulls and their surviving juveniles are the first to take to the skies. It's time for the Chinese egrets to leave as well, along with their young ones. Thousands of birds have left the island. Seabirds are adaptable creatures, making the most of what Mother Nature has to offer. In another 8 months, the oriental white storks will be back again in Liaoning. And when they leave, it will signal the black-tailed gulls and Chinese egrets returning to Fantouzi for another breeding season. A cycle that remains unchanged year after year. Another season of bringing new lives into the world.